Every parent has had the feeling of waiting for their kid to come home and having the clock tick a minute or two past their expected arrival. You go about your day, finishing up a task you've been working on, or starting some other small chore that you can take care of while you wait for them to show up. Is that the car dropping them off? Go over to the door and scan the neighborhood. As time goes on, every parent has had that dark little feeling in their chest that they work hard to suppress, and then are embarrassed by when their kid pulls into the driveway. But in the 1931 film M, Fritz Lang makes us feel what it's like when your kid never comes back. M begins with the murder of Elsie Beckman, and from there goes on to tell the story of the hunt for her killer, who we know right from the start to be Hans Beckert, in an incredible performance from Peter Lorre. If you've seen a serial killer movie before, thank this film. From Seven to Zodiac, is David Fincher just trying to remake M over and over again? To Law & Order SVU, M is the blueprint for all of this media. But being first isn't what makes this film special. When you start looking into the film M, you'll find most people talking about its innovative use of sound. Sounds occurring off camera, the association of In the Hall of the Mountain King to our murderer Hans Beckert, these are all things most filmmakers of the time weren't doing. But a lot of times when I'm watching these older films, there are things that can be innovative, but not necessarily interesting. That is not the case here. This is Lang's first sound film, and the way he manages to use it to create tension is better than a lot of contemporary filmmakers. I referenced the opening scene and how Lang is able to put you in the feeling of waiting for your child to come home, while at the same time showing us our worst nightmare in the fate of Elsie Beckman. He's establishing the paranoia and fear by showing us a crowd of parents standing outside the school waiting to pick up their children. We see our murderer for the first time as a shadow towering over Elsie, playing with her ball. We establish the whistle and the balloon cellar, which will become very important later in the film, and we're left to imagine what became of Elsie with an empty place at the table, a ball without an owner, and the balloon floating away, caught in some electrical wires. These first 8 minutes are doing a lot of work, and all the while, they're intense and entertaining. But beyond all of that, I think the thing that keeps people talking about this film almost 100 years later is that it's not only a crime film, this is a film that wrestles with the complicated idea of justice. What is it, who deserves it, and who should dole it out? Lang highlights essentially 4 groups: the public, the police, the criminal underworld, and our killer, Beckert. The public is depicted as hysterical, paranoid, and fearful. Friends turn on one another, accusing each other of the crime. Mobs attack people on the streets that they think might be guilty, and all this does is cause the police to spend all their time hunting down false leads, eventually resorting to cracking down hard on the criminals, who in turn start their own search for Beckert in an attempt to solve the case and get the police back off their back. There's a beautiful scene where Lang intercuts between the cops and the criminals brainstorming how they'll catch Beckert, and it's interesting how both groups are talking about cracking down, following everyone, forcing people into home searches. Lang is clearly showing how there's very little difference between these two groups. Look at that match cut, and how fear and paranoia can drive people to a totalitarian police state and make people lean into the more fascistic impulses. And what of Beckert? Are we supposed to sympathize with the child killer? Lang wants you to hate him at first. We don't see his face until about 15 minutes into the film, doing this for some reason, looking like a nasty little freak, and we see very little of him at all up until about an hour in. This lets him be the boogeyman that the public views him as, this secret shadowy figure lurking around, and then when we do spend some more time with him, we see his compulsion. This is dark stuff. This is dark stuff for today. But when he's finally captured by the angry mob and pleading for his life, he talks about hating himself as much as we hate him. And Peter Lorre is so good that he makes you want to feel bad for the guy. But is he just another person just flailing around, desperate to save themselves? The cops trying to get the people off their back, the criminals trying to get the police off their back, and him just desperately begging for his life. You could describe his performance described as big and of its time, but I don't agree with that. I think he's spot on. When he gives that speech at the end, this is a man fighting for his life. They're going to kill him for committing unspeakable crimes. It's big, but it's a big moment, and I think his performance would absolutely fit into a movie from today. My personal belief is that it's bad to have groups of citizens going out and killing people in the name of justice. I know, it's a hot take, but that doesn't mean you don't get caught up in the emotion of these people who have lost children to this man. But hopefully you see a man in need of some help that he probably won't get from the system, and how that doesn't feel like justice to anyone. Ultimately, we're left with think of the children, which If I'm being honest, for a movie this good feels a little bit like a cop-out. It's too much of a nice little button on a film that really revels in its ambiguity. Maybe that's just my modern sensibilities reacting to an argument that has been appropriated to oppress and suppress everything from video games to LGBTQ rights, but really that is my only quibble with the film. A fantastic film, and one that you have to check out if you have any interest in film whatsoever. Click that. Subscribe.